So anyway, I live in a place where you can't grow figs and you can't grow grapes. I want you to notice that really nice fig tree out there at the end of my property, bright green, and I got the most awesome fig crop this year. And as you approach over here, you'll see this mass of green on my fence. Those are grapes. They're not quite ripe yet. If they were, I'd love to have them because they're just so delicious. But if you walk over and you can find some that are just starting to turn yellow, pick one, because I want you to see the huge water content. Here's something I'm really picking up on, is that the Creator is very orderly. You understand orderly? There's order in nature. You know what the earth is 75% of? You know what your body is 75% of? You know what all my produce is 75% of? And I'm getting it. I'm really seeing it. And you know what's really amazing me is how things have changed in such a short time. When I grew up in Los Angeles, that's where I grew up. Los Angeles is a desert. It's a desert there. And it's 100 degrees a lot all summer long or more. Back in the 50s when I grew up, there was no such thing as a water bottle. Water bottles did not exist. Some of you older people my age, are you hearing me? You get it? They didn't exist. There was no such thing. And we're out working hard all summer long, 100-degree temperature. We're sweating like crazy. And we have no water bottles. You know why? Back then, plants had roots. They took up water from the ground and were hydrated with our food. The food we ate hydrated us. Today, farmers are watering just as much as they did in the 50s because the ground's compacted, depleted, roots can't spread. The water's not going in the plant. And all your produce is totally dehydrated today because there's no water in it. So this is why I want you as much as possible to sample some and just observe how much water content. And this is September after we've come to the end of summer. Now this has not been irrigated, so I just want you to get how powerful a root system is. So as we come up here, there's a green right on the edge. It's called Holland greens. Snap off at the base because I want you to get the stem because the stem is going to blow your mind how sweet it is. And just check out the water content. All this stuff is good food, so you're welcome to it.
Holland greens?
Holland greens. Go eat that and look how big it is. It's amazing green.
California guy, you ever consider getting avocados?
Avocados, I would love to have, and I buy them at Costco. That's all I buy there. I buy dates and avocados because I miss them. I had them as a kid.
Right.
But avocados and citrus are a broadleaf evergreen, and when temperatures get cold, they die.
Right.
We used to go visit our relatives in San Diego when Highway 5 didn't exist. We took the train, and you go through the winter through Orange County, and there's smudge pots burning all winter long because if it got cold, those trees died. And so a broadleaf evergreen will not live here. You see the fig? It loses its leaves, so it's fine. What do you think of those stems? And they're not bitter. Are you seeing how much water's in that? It's huge.
Do you plant seed or
everything? Alay's question was, do you plant seed or starts?
or both?
Again, we're going to just demonstrate what I'm teaching you. If you look in nature, no starts are ever used anywhere for any reason. Are you hearing me? Let me tell you about starts. Those of you who have gone to the store and bought these beautiful, gorgeous starts, bring them home, put them in your ground, and they sit still and go backwards. You know why? There's a reason. They're grown in an unnatural environment, warm and protected. They were grown in a sterile medium. Peat moss and vermiculite are sterile, and they're fed an IV of, basically an IV of Miracle Grow, and when they come to the real world, they totally are weak and they just set back. I've told people, buy a start, plant a seed next to it, and watch the seedling pass it up. Wow. I'm being real. We grow in a little place you can't grow tomatoes very well. So over in Sequim, my place, I have fig trees. And when you grow tomatoes, they fall on the ground and they have seeds in them. And next spring, your whole place is covered with little tomato plants. So one was coming up under my fig tree I didn't notice, under my fig tree, and that thing had ripe tomatoes on it. We're talking it seeded itself in a shady place with no attention and produced fruit. In a place they say you can't do it. So I'm so getting that all this stuff I'm told is coming from a broken premise. that doesn't work. But when it's a nutrient dense, man, I have watermelon out here. Watermelon doesn't grow here. I planted these in July because it was such a cold, wet spring, nothing grew. And I got watermelon, I'm ready to eat. I'm flipping out like, you gotta be kidding. But it's saying, yeah, I can do it. This is nutrient dense. I can grow here. I'm good.
So Paul,
Yes.
The thing with crop rotation is really...
Oh, this is awesome. Crop rotation. This is so awesome. Thank you so much. Bless you for that question. See, we're told to rotate crops, which is a lot of hard work when you think about it. If you look in nature, there's never, ever been any crop rotation. Plants go to seed in the same place every year, decade after decade, century after century, and everything's growing well. And we're going to the effort of moving them? I'm just telling you. If you think about what we do, it's really stupid. Stupid. And we keep doing it. I intentionally, I was raised in a Swiss German culture. I think that German part of me loves to do things they say you can't. And so now I'm making an effort to do all the stuff they say you can't. I'm looking for places. Like I planted asparagus under my apple tree against the barn to knock out all afternoon sun to make it hard to grow. Does anybody know how long they say it takes to get asparagus?
3 years.
I planted asparagus crowns I got from Fedco. They were purple passion, amazing variety. I planted crowns in April, and I'm eating asparagus the size of my thumb in June. We're not talking 2 to 3 years, we're talking 2 months. And this year I have a picture, the second year it's been here, of one that was 4 feet tall and hadn't gone into fern yet. A spear, 4 feet tall. Man, it was under my tree, in the shade. Justin's kids and I, we stay over here and we're harvesting potatoes under my apple tree. In the root ball of the apple tree, we're harvesting potatoes. And the kids are just having fun. They're moving all this stuff away, you know, they're taking all these great potatoes, and I'm planting one back. And I'm realizing that every square inch I have, I can grow food. And so let me just tell you something powerful. You know why we have large farms in the United States? You know why we have large farms?
Large corporations.
No. There's a reason why they're large. And it's a very sad reason. It's because they're producing so little. They're producing so little they have to be huge. As we walk through my place today, you're going to traverse over less than half an acre. And you're going to see abundance that's going to blow you away. And what I want you to get is when you have nutrient-dense soil, you don't need a lot of space. And you're going to find I'm growing stuff under my trees, and they're actually growing far better under my trees than out in full sun. Thick, heavy duty. I'm so frustrated. I got these potatoes in amongst my orchard, and I want to harvest. I always harvest in September. They're still blooming. I says, would you please back off and shut down? I want to harvest. They don't know how to stop. It's like, give me a break. I want to harvest, and they're blooming. It's just, this abundance, man, can be a challenge.
May I ask a question about
Yes.
your successful asparagus? Did you plant them also under chips?
Yeah, what I did out of asparagus, they tell you to plant deep and do all this stupid hard work. Here's a rule of thumb. You always plant, if you're bringing a tree or asparagus, you plant at the same level it came out of the ground. The same level. Just repeat what it lived in. Don't change it. So I plant at the same level, I bury it with wood chips, and I take off. I've had asparagus here for 23 years, and it's thriving. Let me tell you something about asparagus. This is something that I want you to really hear me, and you're going to see this about everything. And this is why everything in nature, this is just something as a foundation. If you look at nature, mammals, that's the category we're in, mammals. Mammals in nature are not immunized or vaccinated. They carry no health insurance. They go to no doctors. They have no refrigerator, no stove. Are you hearing me? And they live long, healthy, disease-free lives. They're not sick. They don't get sick. And the answer is very simple. They're eating food fresh in season locally. They don't import anything. They don't go to... I'm being very real.
That's great.
But I'm just telling you, look at the evidence. It's huge. And so I'm learning that things in season are for a reason. Let me tell you about asparagus because it's really powerful. When does asparagus show up in your garden? Early spring, like April. What did April follow? A winter when you had no greens. And your body is craving greens. It's saying, I need minerals. And so you're planting your garden because you're hungry for greens. Asparagus just pops up and says, got you covered. You're good. When you eat asparagus, and you've all done this, when you urinate, the odor coming off that asparagus is like potent mineral odor, like nothing else you eat ever does. There's a reason. Asparagus sends roots in the ground 14 feet, not inches, 14 feet into the ground, and they're pulling up mineral content that no other produce even approaches. And you know when that shows up in nature? At the time of year you need minerals the most. Let me give you another example. Tomatoes. Tomatoes is a nightshade. It's not good to eat all year long. And you affluent people, I feel so sorry for you. You live such boring lives. You buy the same garbage at the store every week. The tomatoes don't taste like anything. They're just completely tasteless. You're eating them in January when there's no sun. And you're paying for this. You know when tomatoes show up? Well, let me tell you, first of all, what tomatoes are. When I was a kid in Los Angeles, I come from a Swiss-German culture. I have light skin. Los Angeles is a desert and it gets very hot. And we're out surfing all summer long. My skin peeled constantly all summer. Constantly sunburned, peeling. Skin cancer in the 50s did not exist. There was no such thing as skin cancer in the 50s. There was no such thing. It didn't happen. Because back in the 50s, everywhere tomatoes were growing outside in full sun. They analyzed the sun-ripened tomato. What did they found? 300 phytochemicals in a sun-ripened tomato. You women, you look at a tomato skin, you wish you had skin looking that good. But track with me. That skin takes direct sunlight blazing on it, 100 degrees in places all day long, and it's totally smooth, gorgeous, no bumps, no blisters. There's a phytochemical in the tomato that protects the skin from blistering. And when you eat that tomato in season, you get the same protection. Now, when does tomatoes get ripe? August, September, when the sun is the hottest. You think that's an accident, a coincidence. Here's what was scary. They took the same heirloom tomato, grew in a greenhouse, and they tested it. What they found? 50 phytochemicals. 250 were lost with light going through glass because it interrupts photosynthesis. Today, skin cancer is rampant all over the world because everyone today eats tomatoes grown in greenhouses. I just want you to connect dots. I want you to pay attention because what's happening to our food is scary. I believe it's evil. And we've got to wake up because it's not safe to eat food from the store. It's totally dead. You know, live food, here's a scientific fact which is really scary. In 10 minutes, not 10 hours after fruits and vegetables are picked, they can lose up to 80% of the metabolic properties in 10 minutes. 80%. Yeah. And so the stuff you're buying in the store that's shipped from thousands of miles away, China, and you're eating that, and you think you're going to get something out of it, it's dead food. It's totally dead. And if you simply do the math, you can't eat dead food and expect life. I'm just being very real. Dead food will only produce death. You know, if you look at family photographs 30 years ago, where you had grandparents and parents and kids and grandkids, huge crowds in these pictures. There was not one obese person in those pictures. Not one obese person in any of them. You look today, these little kids in school, they're grossly obese. And there's a reason for it. Those kids are starving to death on full stomachs. They're eating dead food and the body says, I'm hungry. I'm creating cells. I'm making bone and tissue and muscles. I need food. That wasn't food. I'm hungry. And they keep eating because they're hungry. And the body can't get it all through the feces, so it packs it off in fat cells. But they're starving to death on full stomachs because the food they're getting isn't food. It's really huge what's going on. And we need to start waking up. Because how we're living today, if you look at human history for 6,000 years, the disease that's happening on the planet today worldwide has never happened in human history. Ever. 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 And it's because we're malnutrition. When you get, the only reason for sickness is malnutrition. If you're properly nourished, you can't get sick. It's impossible.
My graduation class was 641. You looked at the class picture and you couldn't find fat people.
What's that?
Couldn't find people that were overweight.
Yeah, you couldn't. Yeah, I'm just telling you. And this has happened. You know what I'm telling you. These events have happened. You know, no water in our food, all this cancer, in my lifetime. I'm not that old. It's scary what's coming down. And you know when it happened? In 1948. After World War II, they started creating chemical fertilizers. That's when Israel became a nation. And the Creator said, that generation will not pass away till I return. The enemy knew he had one generation left to take out, and he went after our food because everyone needs food. I'm telling you, man, it's very significant, and we got to pay attention because it's not. But what I love about this is so cool. The whole system in the world could shut down. All the power, all the stores, no gas, and I'm good for life. Because I get sun and rain, my plants produce seed, and I have far more than I could ever eat. I mean, my chickens eat better than most people because I have to give them all my food because I can't eat it all, you know?
What do you do in the winter?
During the winter, I love these questions, and I go back to nature. What do all the mammals in nature, now the bear takes a nap, but all the rest eat all winter. At 40 below zero in Canada, the animals are eating just fine.
But they're hibernating, aren't they?
Not all of them, the bear,
Oh, yeah.
but all the birds don't hibernate, the deer don't hibernate.
Right.
Are you hearing me? What are they eating?
I don't know.
There's plenty of food. What I'm telling you, you're not there, you don't see it, but they're not starving. They're eating well. And all winter long, you know what I love about winter? Winter is my favorite time of year for food because I can stay on top of what I'm growing. This time of year, I'm producing so much food I can't even get to it because it's growing too fast. I give it to my chickens. But in the winter, I'm down to root vegetables, beets, carrots, you know, my parsley, my kale, my cilantro, and my potatoes. I can stay on top of that. I can manage it. But this time of year, man, I can't keep up. So winter is actually a really cool time. I enjoy it because last year we had 20 degrees for several weeks. My kale in the garden did totally awesome. Didn't phase it. And what I'm getting, if you look at Canada, 40 below zero, you hear me? 40 below zero. In the forest, nothing dies. Are you hearing me? Nothing dies. You know why? Because this material is an insulator. It holds heat in the ground. And everybody's farm up in Canada, next to nature, with all the cover taken off, everything freezes and dies. You know, if we're paying attention, it's so obvious. It's so like, duh, wake up. You know what I learned about this stuff? I didn't realize how significant this cover was. It's not only an insulator, but it's also a filter. I learned this accidentally. When the film came out, I made a statement. I said, food grown in a nutrient-dense, soil like this will have more mineral content than those with chemical fertilizers. So some chemical fertilizer got a hold of the girls really angry. Says that's not true. Chemical fertilizers has the same nutrient value as anything grown anywhere else. It's really good. This says, well, we don't know that. Do the test and we'll publish it. So they went and got some really nice standalone soil, the best, and they tilled it. Did all the right stuff. And they planted the stuff and put chemical fertilizers to the max. Now see, chemical fertilizers, if you go over the edge, you'll burn all the plants. There's a fine line. You can only use so much. With organic, no limit. Anyway, so right next to that stuff, they planted the same plants in wood chips, and to their amazement, when they tested them, the stuff in the wood chips did have higher mineral content. And so in the natural mind, I love what they did. They thought, let's put the chemical fertilizers over the wood chips and upgrade those plants. And they did. What they found when they tested them? No change. Absolutely no change. They've got this chemical fertilizer all on there, watering like crazy. It's all being dissolved, but the plant's not changing. So the Creator says, you remember that. That's significant. So I got a call from an older woman in Louisiana who called me about the film. She says, you know, I'm really frustrated. I had an amazing garden. I had fruit trees in my yard for decades. And when Katrina came across, and my yard was covered with salt water, everything died. All my trees, everything flat out died. I don't know if I can do this again. I'm just blown away. And so I had a prompting to ask her, do you have any wooded areas where you live? She says, yes. How are they doing? They're fine. I said, excuse me, they got covered with salt water, they're doing fine? She says, yes. I says, well, get it. That material on the ground acted as a filter, and that salt never got to the roots. And so these chemtrails go across my property over here. I just smile. I says, that trash, that aluminum bearing will never access my roots because this is a filter. Yay, God. I'm just telling you, man, I love it. He's just awesome. And my sense is when he created this awesome, beautiful planet, he knew he had an adversary who tried to mess it up. So he built into it these amazing features of protection. And when you connect to nature, you have them. It's just awesome. I mean, these things are under chemtrails all the time. And they're awesome. They're not affected by it because this is a filter. It's the best.